Thank you for joining us today for the virtual Sunday service with the Center for Creative Living. CCL, a charter of the Universal Church of the Master, has served and supported the spiritual needs of its community here in the Bay Area for over 20 years.
Good morning, good morning. This is so exciting. Anytime Patty and Joyce come, I'll drive all the way over from SoCal. We are always excited. Yeah, thank you. That is delightful. And we have so many things that we're celebrating today. And so I want you to think about the fact that it's Father's Day. Tomorrow is Juneteenth, and we're right in the middle of Pride Month.
Yes.
So we have so many different things that are happening and going on all at once. And I'd like to, if any of you want to take a pride flag, that's what they're there for. You can take one home. If you, they're coming out with a new flag that I'm sure a lot of you have seen. And so these are the old ones. So we're Vintage, exactly. So we're suggesting, hey, you might want to take one home with you. There are so many things going on. We were mentioning earlier that we've had another shooting in Chicago, and it was like, oh, you hear about them, and it used to be the first thing we wanted to do was get on our knees and pray that everybody was safe. And then it was a acceptance, oh no, that happened. And this morning I kind of went, oh no. Now wait a minute. Why am I not feeling it? I don't want us to get to that point where we're blasé about shootings.
Exactly.
That doesn't help anything. And we, as ministerial students and as believing in spirituality, we know that we can help change the world. Let's not go, oh no, not another shooting. Let's feel that we can put those people into a wonderful container of love and energy and help them come back online, as it were. As Reverend Janet knows, when you have gone through something like that, you might not even have been the victim. Right. You might have been one of the victim's parents or loved ones. You never get over it. It impacts your life. So when you think about that, today when we're celebrating so many different things, I want you to put your heart into it. And Jan, could you lead us in a prayer this morning of what we can do for people who are suffering, who are going through a difficult time right now, before we get into celebrating other things? Thank you.
So I just invite us to open up our hearts, open up our minds, open up our souls, and reach out with our healing energy to anybody impacted directly or indirectly by gun violence, by shootings, by sudden and traumatic death. May they feel the cocoon of our energy wrap around them gently and yet very strongly, as a protection, as a shield that offers them that comfort where they can be able to manage and deal with what they have been living through at this moment. We send a special energy out to the Chicago people that were involved in the most recent shooting, and that we keep alive the power of Juneteenth, what that represents, the incredible liberation of a people that have been enslaved. We invite that. We invite that celebration, and we invite that comforting and that cocooning energy. So pull up from your resources, my friends, which is that divine resource that we all come from, and send that energy out so that all Juneteenth celebrations, all Father's Day celebrations are held in the highest love, and that people are realizing the beauty and the power of these celebrations. We cocoon you in your heart. We surround you with our love. We hold you in the divine presence presence all around you. We call upon our ancestors. We call upon our angels. We call upon each other to build a tapestry of love. Oh, Creator, surround us with your loving protection. May all people know they are held in the arms of divine love. We cocoon you in the power of our communal healing, and we know we are together, hand to hand, heart to heart. And so it is.
And so it is. Why don't you just stay up there so when we do meditation? There. Thank you so very much, Shannon. We need to stop going, oh, it's another one. Because each time there's anything like that, it's a ripple. And it just like that pebble that drops into a lake and sends forth ripples. These are ripples of despair, anger, frustration, fear, sadness, all rushing out and touching many, many hundreds of people. And so as people on the planet who spiritually know that we can make a difference by connecting to Source, it's important that you do that. Anytime you hear something, you don't need to stop everything. Even if you're in your car and you hear it, just take a moment to bless everyone involved. And the perpetrator and the perpetrator's family. So many times we forget, what did the mother of that child feel when they read in the paper that this person had committed these atrocities? I know as a mom, I always, when my kids have done something positive or negative, I respond, even though I might not have heard it yet. They quite often say, oh no, she's going to know anyway. It's kind of an interesting thing, but I do. I can feel the pain. And so let you reach out, and when you feel something that's wobbly in the world, realize it's time for you to reach out to Source and send your blessings. Okay, thank you so very much. When we talk about doing meditation, can you hear me? Okay, I've got two mics here and I never know quite where to put my mouth. This one is fine or anything. What I'd like for you to do is right now, think about the things we can meditate today. For those of you who had a father that you loved and considered wonderful, you might want to meditate on that. If you had a father you didn't feel were those things, you might find this is a time to bless them and release any negative energy you have. If it's a time for you to remember Juneteenth and the releasing of slavery in our country, and bless the people, how that came about, and it still is working its way through the world, starting out here in the United States. Now think about that. Or you can think about gay pride, of what's happening. There's places where people are now told they can't read books that even say gay on them, or anything about pride, because their Congress is saying, no, you can't do that. So that might be something you meditate on. So I want you to think of what is the problem that you see with who we are as a people right now. And what are the gifts that are being given to this problem? There is a multitude, but you can just gather them all up and embrace them with your arms. So I want you all to just close your eyes and take a nice deep breath. And follow the sound of my voice. And as you walk down a path, you may picture this path in the forest, you may picture this path along the ocean, or you may picture your path in the desert. Wherever there's a pathway that you feel comfortable on, I want you to picture yourself on that path. And this is called a path to spiritual energy. And feel yourself on that path. And the first step you take is forgiveness. And as you step on the ground, the sand, you think, I am going to forgive all of those in my life who have created a disturbance and caused me energy that is negative. Those who have caused me anguish or pain, I am going to forgive them and release them. And then you take another step and you say, as I step here on Mother Earth, I want to forgive all of those who have been destructive and negative and hostile to Mother Earth, and ask Source to come in and change their hearts so that we can start living freer on the planet and helping Mother Earth to regrow. And with the next step you take, think about family, brothers and sisters and mother and father and grandparents. And if there's any of those members of your family that you were holding captive in anger, forgive them. Let them go. Don't rehash what they did or said. Just release it and put it into the hand of the Creator and say, Creator, please take away this pain of anger and release it, all that I have been feeling that is not for my best and highest good or the best and highest good of my family. And now as you take another step, think of the politics that are going on that are making people wrong, who are making people not feel like they're accepted in the country, in their hometown, or in their home. And you take this step and you say, I release all the negative energy I have towards people. The people that are my neighbors, the people who are in Congress, the people who are in politics, the people who are saying things I don't agree with, I release them. I let them go. And as I let them go, I know that Creator is going to start changing their heart into a place of more love, protection, and concern. And with the next step you take, make it for the world. Make it for the places in the world where there's war, hunger, famine, so much negativity. And bless those people. Bless them and say, Creator, please come in and shine your light so these people know they are not alone. They are not fighting by themselves. Your energy is there to lighten the load. They're not suffering because of anything they've done wrong. It's just a difficult time in their country. And let the Creator come in and shine your light on these beings. And now, Creator, we take another step and we look up. Look up into the atmosphere. Look up into the clouds. Look up into this beautiful sky and say, Creator, surround planet Earth and all of the adjoining planets with your love, your energy, and your sense of joyful promise that things will be better tomorrow. trust in you and know that you have the power and the ability to help everyone. And sometimes we don't know how you're doing it, but know that each soul, as it goes back to you, there's going to be a renewal, there's going to be more love, there's going to be joy, and a feeling of having lived a good life while they were here. And your last step as you're moving forward is for yourself. Forgive yourself for all of the negative thoughts you've had today. Forgive yourself for holding on to the anger and frustration of yesterday. And forgive yourself for not appreciating what a beautiful human being you are. And realize that you are in the hands of Creator. And Source never makes mistakes. It's just we stumble sometimes on our path. Thank you very much for taking a journey with us to forgiveness, love, and acceptance of all, whatever their faith, whatever their country, whatever their language. We are all children of Source. And now let's listen to the wonderful Reverend Janet Childs.
I take the first step into the world, and I know I am whole. The next step, I reach out my hands to the world. It is my home. Every thought and each feeling that penetrates my heart, let it be this: opening like a doorway into the land of unconditional love. Let's show each other the way. Every step I take with my heart, every moment is a brand new start to this, our abundant world. How I can be in the inside of me is how I can bring it to humanity, and we know we can let love grow. I honor all that I have come
We shine the path home. Bring it home to my heart. Bring it home to my soul, and we know we are home. Bring it home, bring it home, bring it home, bring the hope, bring it home, make it home. Bring it home, bring it home, bring it home, bring the love, bring it home, bring it home, bring it home, bring it home. We are home. Bring it home to your soul. Bring it home. We make each other whole, and we bring it Just take a nice deep breath and feel your heart, and know that you are truly home within your heart, within your spirit, and within your soul. And so it is. And as you open your eyes, just look around at all the wonderful people. There they are. Yes, folks that you've known for a long time, folks that you've just met. There they are. That's great. Thank you so very much, Janet. That was wonderful. Yeah.
Thank you, Dottie.
Well, you know, today is Father's Day. And before I start talking about the wonderful fathers I know, I want to honor a wonderful woman I know. Corky and I, this is our anniversary day.
Yay!
And some of you were at the wedding, and which was quite an event. And I just want to thank her for having been so wonderful and so great. We've been together 40 years, but when we got married, it was 7 years ago. We had to wait until it was legal. And it's been one of those things of best decision she ever made.
Yeah! Woohoo! Wait.
Oh.
Thank you.
Yay.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Funny story. She happened to be stark naked when she proposed. And so I called my son, Bob, and said, you know, Corky proposed and we're going to get married. And she was stark naked. And he said, Mom, I was in the shower when I proposed to Kim. And I said, oh, okay. So I called my other son and said that. And he said, we were in the hot tub up at Lupin when I proposed. It's a family thing. You have to be naked to get for proposals. I thought, well, that pretty much defines our family. It's kind of different, okay?
We have birthdays, don't we?
Well, that's what I'm going to ask. Do we have any birthdays in the house?
Yes.
Yes.
Yay! And Joyce. Joyce.
Come on up, Joyce.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Joyce, I have to get up off this chair. First things first.
And we've got all sorts of new beads.
Ooh, pancakes.
Oh, we've got silver, we've got purple, we've got blue, we've got all sorts of.
So how's it going?
It's going well. How's it going with you?
Things are good.
What color do you want?
I don't know.
I love it. She's fondling them all. This is great.
I would.
Yeah, it's good. Good. Looks good.
We'll have a little clash.
Okay.
Yay!
Are you where are we going to lunch, Joyce?
For your birthday.
For your birthday.
I have no clue.
Oh, I don't either, so somebody's going to have to come up with a decision.
Okay.
And we'll let you know and invite you all to join us, okay?
Well, Corky suggested something like
Pancakes.
Pancakes there.
Okay, wherever we go, I bet they have pancakes,
Yes,
yeah.
I enjoy pancakes very much. It's a winner.
Yeah. Oh.
How many of you had a good relationship with your father? Yeah. How many had a so-so relationship? And how many thought he was just the worst man on the planet?
Oh, you
Yeah. Yeah. And when you think of that, let's stop and say he did the best he could.
That's right.
You know, the best that he knew how to be. And so today we can say, I'm going to let him go, and I'm just going to bless him. And then I won't have to carry that burden of not caring for him anymore. You'd be surprised how much not liking somebody wears you out.
Yes.
It just, so you just let him go. My dad was, for those of you who ever met my dad, he was bigger than normal. He was 6'5", he weighed about 350 to 400 pounds, and he was a presence. He was an attorney. He had gone to law school after he got back out of the Second World War, and he had many stories to tell about his duty time when he was overseas in the Philippines. But one of them was he was on a ship, and they were going past Leyte in the Philippines, and a kamikaze bomber bombed the ship. I don't know how many of you know what kamikaze is. That's what a Japanese man volunteered to be in the plane and bombard something, and they died. It was a suicide mission. So all of a sudden the plane came in, they could hear it, they knew it was going to hit their ship, and the ship exploded. And my dad said, "Hey, everybody off." He was the youngest captain in the Pacific, and he started yelling at people, but the real captain of the ship said, "I'm going down with my ship." And my dad said, "Like hell you are," and tossed him off the boat. And the guy was like, "But," my dad said, "No, we don't have time for the heroics." So as my dad jumped off, what he thought was the deck was the covering of one of the lifeboats, and he went through it and broke his ankle. So finally he got into the water, into a lifeboat. And here they are in one of those big, you've seen them, pontoons. They're bouncing around on the ocean. And he said there were 8 guys in there. And they're looking, and the torpedoes are coming from a submarine, and they're heading for all the boats that are in the water. And as they're watching, one torpedo veered and started heading for them. And it's skipping across the top of the ocean. And a fella stood up in the boat and said, "Anybody want to buy a good used watch?" And my dad said it was so amazing that they all started laughing as this torpedo was heading towards them. And their torpedo went under and didn't hit them. And he said, "I've always thought that the levity is what kept the boat high enough off the water." And that's when he realized that there was such a thing as spirit. He had been raised Mormon, but they didn't necessarily talk about spirit. And that's when he became spiritual. He thought that's when the end of his career of any kind of religion. He was very spiritual until he shared a foxhole with a Catholic priest. And by the time he emerged, they were there in that foxhole for over a week. When he emerged, he was a dedicated Catholic. So my dad left the house a Mormon, got into spirituality, and became a Catholic before he got back home. And so when he got back home and he finished law school, we moved to Lancaster, where we had lived before. And that's where my grandfather lived. And my dad was excited about starting being an attorney, and we settled down there in a barn. And we didn't have any money. He'd just gotten out of school, and it was a refurbished barn. And in that barn, it got pretty cold in the winter and pretty warm in the summer in the middle of the desert. And we only lived there for 2 years. Thank goodness he started making money, and we moved into another house. But what it was impressive was that all of this work and all of this was starting to pay off, and that there was some money coming in. For the first 2 years, my dad was an attorney. He mainly got paid in produce and chickens. You know, nobody around there had much money. It was just after Second World War. And so there was something about him that people were attracted to. And so eventually he became mayor of the town and had a very, very flourishing business. The thing I liked about my dad is when we moved up to this very almost southern feeling desert town, because Lancaster is where the people came during the Depression, when they were fleeing from the horrible things that were going on in Oklahoma and Texas, where the sandstorms had taken away their crops and everything else. That Lancaster in the Antelope Valley was one of the places that they landed. So we had a lot of the people there were from Oklahoma and Arkansas and came in with some southern prejudices. My dad didn't buy into that. And in fact, he became a charter member of the NAACP. And he was very much working for people, because when we moved to Lancaster, if you were Black, Asian, or Mexican, you could not spend the night in the town.
What?
They would kick you out. You were not allowed. And they had
Lucky if you just got kicked out.
lucky if you just got kicked out. Okay. So my dad felt that the NAACP was just really getting started. He felt that was one of the organizations that they could do a charter and start changing things around. But he also belonged not as a member, but as the attorney for the local Ku Klux Klan.
Wow.
And he felt that everybody was entitled to a hearing in the court. So being raised by somebody who has all of this background, being different religions, different ways of looking at things, was a wonderful way to grow up. He ended his life as a Baha'i. He had gotten out of what he was doing, was fascinated by the Baha'i faith, until he found out that if you were gay or lesbian, you could not become a member of the church or marry in the church, in the Baha'i faith, which is still true today. And so he left. And so that was my dad. He just he had all these things that he believed in. And we just kept, okay, Dad, this is who Dad is. He was also very much of a jerk when it came to relationships with my mother and other women. One of my brothers, I'm the eldest of 10, one of my brothers said, at this count, Dad has sired 14 kids. And he and my mom and his other wife had 10 of those. So we don't know. My brother was named after my dad in Del Falls, and so people can find him on the internet. And so he's been getting people that have said, oh, do you realize that Del Falls was my dad?
Wow.
From all over the world. So my father really had a thing for women, and not too much about taking care of the kids. I was lucky. I was the eldest of the whole thing. And the thing about him, my dad, that was kind of interesting is that he was one of the best dancers you'd ever see. And no matter where we went, Sherry's shaking her head, she knew my dad. And wherever we went, Corky has danced with my dad. He's a very good dancer. And wherever he went, women would stand in line to dance with him. So here's this huge man, looks like a tank, and light on his feet. So just one of those gifts that he gave all of the kids. We all have loved to dance. So who was my dad? He was kind of bigger than life, and yet he's had foibles. And he and I had worked together in the fields and hauled hay. We'd done all sorts of things together. And I was kind of glad when I look back, I was the one who truly knew him. because none of the other kids got to spend that much time because he had gone on to all these different businesses. So my idea of fathers is kind of full-blown all over the place because of my dad. But then I had another man in my life, and that was my grandfather. And my grandfather was a farmer. He's the one that owned the dairy that we worked in. He was the one that loved cows, loved sheep, loved every animal. He would spend up all night nurturing and just holding and nurturing a sick chicken, a baby chick. He wasn't religious necessarily. He had been raised Mormon, but he wasn't necessarily religious, but he certainly put a lot of energy on animals. He loved every animal, and he was also an excellent dancer. And
Yay Mormons.
yeah, yay Mormons. That's where he learned how to dance.
Yeah.
And one other thing about him was when I was little, he was a milkman in LA when he first moved to California. And he had to get up early in the morning to deliver milk in bottles. He was a milkman. And so he went to bed every night at 7. So every night at 7 he'd say, "Okay, Dottie, it's time to go to bed." And so I'd go in and curl up with my grandpa. And I remember it was the most comfortable feeling. And then when my grandma came to bed, she'd pick me up and take me and put me in and then I'd wake up in my mom's bed with her. I always thought it was a miracle. I never could understand quite how it happened. And, but it was great. So for me, the other man in my life was my husband, Sam. And, I don't think Sam ever read a book about how to raise kids, but he was amazing at it. And with Sam, I had 2 children, two sons, 7 grandchildren, and now I have 2 great-grandchildren. Wow. And he did things that were so interesting with the kids. At least once or twice a year, he would go to school and get them out, and they would play hooky. They never knew when it was going to happen. He would take them to the opening of baseball games. He took them to carnivals when they were just setting up the tents, and they didn't go watch. Sam loved doing things with the boys. He went to Laguna Seca, and they watched the races. And the boys never knew when it was going to happen, and they'd say, "Dad, are you going to come take us away today?" "No." Oh, and they never knew. It was like when they least expected. And what a great way of doing it. And I'd say, "What do you tell the office?" He'd say, "Oh, I just say there's a family emergency," and they just nod their head yes, and that's how it happened. And I said, "Well, okay." But what happened with him was that he not only was a father, but he decided very early on he wanted to be a fun dad. How many of you had a dad that wanted to be a fun dad? Yeah. And do things and giggled and laughed and probably drove your mother crazy, because that's what Sam would do. He had the strangest sense of humor, Sherry, and yes, but he would keep the kids in stitches. Their first rock concert, their dad took him for. There were all of these things that he did just so he could be with the boys. After he and I were divorced, he moved in with one of the kids for a while. Then he had the grandkids to tease and to take out of school and to play games with. And he became, I often said, somebody said, "Well, why did you divorce your husband?" I said, "He was a great dad, lousy husband." Yeah. And so there's a difference there when you're in a relationship. So what I want you to do when you think about Father's Day, think about the men in your life who fathered, whether the grandfather, stepfather, dad, whoever they are. And think of the things that they did that made you believe that it was great to be a dad. Did they spend time with you? Did they take you places? Or did you just know you could depend on them and they were loving and kind? Did you eat with him at night? Was he a teacher? Did he help you with that? He listened to you? Did your dad listen to you when you had something important to say?
Yes.
And did he respect your mother? I think that was one of the greatest gifts that the father can do, is respect the mother. And how about the whole thing of disciplining with a very positive tone. You know, he wasn't one of those guys that just beat you. It was somebody who said, okay. My son can remember the one time he got spanked by his dad. It was that rare that he remembered it, because every once in a while I would say, well, and then Dad spanked me. Yeah, well, it was the only time, you know. And so I want to thank the men, the parents, the grandparents, the parents of my children, for being in my life, because they showed me a different way to be a parent. They didn't necessarily feed them the things I would have wanted to. One day I was going away on a retreat, and I said to my husband, make sure the kids eat something green. And he said, okay. So when I got back from the trip, there sitting in the middle of the table was Marie's dressing with a stalk of celery in it. And that was something, salad, yeah, that was something green. And there were so many things that happened as we were growing up. And I think when you get married, you grow up. But he was the dad that worked swing. So he could be home all day while I worked and take care of the kids. And when you drive down our street in Santa Clara in the summer, ours was a house with the 15 bicycles on the front yard. Yeah. And Sam would be in the backyard watching the kids swim. And ours was a house where everybody went. And the parents knew it was okay because there was somebody there to watch them, and especially with the 12 to 18-year-olds. And it was always one of those things that they'd say to my son, your dad's a fun guy. He's a little weird, but he's fun. And yes, he didn't smoke, he didn't drink, he didn't chase around. He grew a little weed in the backyard, but we kind of ignored it because he's supposed to, I don't want what to call it, unlucky. He planted 22 plants one year, and they were all they were male. Is it male? It doesn't have any print. None of them were right to smoke, you know. But he had a great greenhouse.
Whatever, I guess it would
so it would have been the female. They didn't, not a single female plant. And so we tease him about, you know, he couldn't even grow weeds. So today, think about the men in your life and think about the good times you've had. Also think about Juneteenth and the freeing of the slaves. And also remember you're right in the middle of Pride.
And some people
brought pictures and put them on the wonderful altar. So please take a chance. Take a chance. You don't have to take a chance. Look at them. Please look at them. And be aware of the love that is around the men in our life and the men in our world. And appreciate who they are. Thank you. Well, look who came sailing in. Hello there.
Creeping in at the end. Yay, we appreciate that.
Do you have anything to say about Juneteenth, Father's Day, or Pride?
Well,
or your upcoming trip?
Well, all three, actually. There's a lot going on.
Well, come on in so the people on Zoom can hear about what's going on with our wonderful Dr. Ayleen Augustine.
Yeah.
Yay!
Sit down here.
Oh, okay. Take a load off.
Yeah.
Well, and for those who don't know, the reason that I come in late is because I'm serving as the interim pastor for the Campbell United Christian Church, where I'm doing services over there. And Juneteenth and Father's Day, which, you know, we talked a little bit about over there because of the fact that suddenly to be told, well, guess what? You're free. And yet to not know what that means.
Right.
All of the fathers who watched their children be sold away from them, who watched them being beaten and abused, and all they could do to hold and comfort their child is to say, well, this is just how it is. This is how it is for us. You just got to keep your head down. You know, you can't stand up. You can't be proud. And then suddenly to find out we're free But now I have to teach my children to do something I never did. I didn't know how to hold my head up, but they told their children, they taught them, okay, from now on, you hold your head up. You don't bow your neck to anyone. You stand up. You take whatever it is because you're strong. You prove that you're strong. And to know that those fathers knew that their children would achieve something that in their lifetimes they didn't know. So it is important to honor, because sometimes being a father means that you got to wing it, because maybe you didn't have a father that was there for you. Maybe you didn't have a father who, was really good at the job, but they figured out how to way to do it. My dad had a very complicated relationship with his father. And one thing that he swore was that he was always going to be a better father than his father was. And then at 16, he lied his way into the military and went into the Korean War. He was gone most of my childhood. He was in Vietnam. He was everywhere else. And my mom had to be mother and father. And when my dad came home, it was, well, wait till your father gets home. But he didn't want that. He wanted to be able to nurture us, but he also grew up in a generation where it was not okay for a father to hug their child or say, I love you, or say, you know what, Dad's scared right now. Because it was the generation where the dad had to be the dad, while everybody else slept in the house. My dad was the one up trying to figure out how he was going to feed his 4 children on, what little he could make. And he took jobs. He worked as a security guard. He worked as a clerk. But my dad always taught us, you don't bow your head to anybody. He always said, whenever we left, he always said, remember who you are. And I used to resent that, because it's like, you know what, hey, I'm just me and all this. He said, no, you need to remember who you are. You need to remember what your name is. You need to remember where you came from. And as I was sharing over at the other church, our Creator, I get to say my Father who art in heaven twice. And I think that Creator is always trying to tell us that too. Stand up. Don't bow your head. Don't bow your eyes. You're a part of me. And that idea that we're never alone. That, for those of us who learned to ride a bike with our dad holding on to the back of it, I still feel my father holding the back of that bike. But he knows that he had to let me decide where I was going to ride it. And I will always be grateful to my father for that. And as my dad said, I will love you forever. I've got 2 dads I know who say that. Because I know Creator will love me forever too, no matter what I do, no matter where I go, no matter what mistakes I make. And as I'm getting ready to take one of the biggest adventures that I have ever taken, I will be picking up the RV on Friday. And somehow it all came into being, and I will leave July 7th.
Wow. Okay.
So, yeah, there's a lot to do. It's getting done. And I will definitely, be here for that last Sunday. And I just want you all to know how much you mean to me. When you've lost family members and things like that, and, you think about, you reach that age where you think about all the people who aren't here and who you had to say goodbye to. No matter what, goodbyes aren't easy. And yet they're probably one of the greatest gifts we have, because if we always know there's going to be a goodbye, it makes us appreciate that time we have. And, I know that my dad would probably be a little freaked out, but I know he'd be proud of me for doing what I need to do, even at this point in my life. So, yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So,
ask him to pass the basket?
Yes, we can. It's like, did I miss that? So,
Let us just send you some wonderful energy. You know, let us just receive it, our wonderful Ayleen, our Reverend Dr. Ayleen Augustine, as you move into this next journey. May you be in your fullness. May you be in your complete power, in your complete depth of spirit, in your complete heart. May you go forward and may you transform whoever you touch, either in a large way by being a part of a play or in the individual way that you do with us already. May you be fully yourself and know that we are your backup singers. We are right behind you, right beside you, encouraging you and lending you energy for this amazing moment. You will bring healing to the world by this journey, and we are your back. We have your six, and we will always hold you in our heart.
So
thank
it is.
you.
And
Thank
so it
you.
is.
So it is.
Yeah. You know, I remember I mentioned before that I stuttered as a child, badly. And when I complained to my dad that, you know, my brothers and sister were not letting me talk, he looked at me and he said, the world doesn't owe it to you to listen to you. You make yourself heard. And as irritated as I was that he wasn't just going to go and yell at them, that moment taught me something, that it was up to me to make myself heard, and I worked to overcome stuttering. I worked to make my voice something that wasn't a source of shame, but a source of pride for me. So, you know, much gratitude for all the dads, parents who had to take a really hard line, who had to see their children get hurt in order to give them the empowerment to be able to move forward on their own. So, as we consider all the gifts we receive, we also consider the gifts we can give. We also consider those who have given, those who support, the wonderful work that Dottie and Corky do behind the scenes to support so many people. And as we think about that and our wonderful, wonderful, wonderful basket bearer, and as we consider that as we give, so shall we receive. And that which we put out there comes back 100-fold, whether we realize it or not. We say our declaration of giving.
Yes.
Giving to the ministry from which I receive my spiritual support and nurturing is an affirmation and consciousness of the truth that spirit is the prospering power enriching every area of my life.
Yeah.
And so
It is.
So it is.
So, but yeah, you know, I'll be getting the RV. And I will bring it to church on that last Sunday, so all of y'all can not only see it, but I would be very grateful if those coming could bless it for me.
Yes.
You know, when I'm one of those weirdos that name, well, I don't even name vehicles, but I have vehicles tell me their names. Every vehicle I've ever owned has told me its name, and that's when I knew it was meant. And when I stepped into that RV, I heard the name of it, and she whispered Saoirse, which is Irish Gaelic for freedom.
Oh, yeah. Woo!
So
Bring it on there.
Saoirse and I will be here on that last Sunday, and you guys can meet her.
Yeah.
And yes, it is about being grateful for every single moment we have. It is about recognizing that even in those really difficult times, even when, you know, it's like this Herculean task in front of us, we're not alone. As Janet put it, you know, we're all each other's backup singers. And if you're going through something, ask.
Yes.
Ask your community, ask Creator. There's a lot of times when I say, excuse me, Creator, you got a minute? It's me. And I picture my creator sitting at a big, huge desk with all kinds of monitors, and they always look over, smile, put everything down, and say, of course I've got time for you. What do you need? That is the story I tell myself, and if you have to tell yourself a story, tell yourself a good one.
That's a good boss.
And being able to trust and know that we're not alone, that we do, as some of us have two fathers in heaven, however you envision that. But it is about being able to know that you're not going to be by yourself in anything. All those who have been through the worst times, and even the worst day you've ever had, just think for a hot second, the worst day you ever had still ended. You made it through, and you didn't make it through by accident, luck, or alone. There was somebody there who said, you're going to make it through. And as you sleep, I will watch over you, and we will greet tomorrow together. So everyone take a nice deep breath in and let it out. Dear, wonderful, blessed Creator, we thank you for this day, and we thank you for our lives. We thank you for the blessing of each and every moment and each and every breath, and not to mention each and every gift you give. We thank you for the blessing of this community and all those who are a part of it. All those who serve CCL and the Universal Church of the Master and all those they serve. We thank you for the blessing of, and we ask that you bless all of the fathers of the world. All that are out there just struggling to find their way. All who are doing the best they can, and all who don't have a whole lot of guidance to go on that. We thank you for the blessing of and ask that you bless every child who looks to an adult for that guidance, that support. And we know that being a father it's not limited to DNA, it's not limited even to choice, though it can be. It is that spark of you inside each and every one of us, that divine masculine that each and every one of us carry. Creator, we thank you for all of those who are out there just doing so much amazing good in the world that maybe they don't get recognized for. But we know you see every single one of us at our best points and at our lowest points. And it is so wonderful to know that no matter what, you love us. Creator, thank you for everything you give and everything you are. Everything you made us and everything you give us. And while it'd be pretty tricky to try to get you a tie, we hope you have an amazing Father's Day. For all your creation to the next 7 generations and beyond, Ahom Matako Yasin, ago, by earth, sea, and sky. Namaste, Shalom, Assalamu Alaikum. Blessed be, and Amen.
So it is. Oh, thank you so very much. For those of you who are ministerial students, Ayleen is one of my sponsees.
Yes, that's right.
You too. You say, yeah.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ayleen. And we are going to celebrate Joyce's birthday by going out to lunch. And so for any of you who want to join us, please do. And we'll figure out where we're going. You stick around, have some coffee. Don't forget to pick up some food that was donated to us. And it also, if you haven't talked to your dad, whether he is on the planet or not, take a moment sometime today to just stop and say, Dad, I know you did the best you could. Mm-hmm. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
And Ed, who do we have on Zoom?
I thought you'd never ask. Okay, let's roll back to before we started. Hi from Paris. All well, busy. See you next week. That's from Joan. Good morning. Blessings to everyone. Chen Li. The Zoom user, good morning everyone, happy sunny Sunday. From Milan, happy Sunday. Let's see. From Chen Lee, beautiful, thank you Janet. From Ann Corbin, happy anniversary, Dottie and Corky. From Jeannie, happy anniversary.
Thank
From
you.
Chen Lee, happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Dear Dottie and Corky. From Zoom user, happy anniversary, Dottie and Corky.
Thank you.
I think they're copying and pasting.
Could be.
And from Ann, happy birthday, Joyce C, with 2 exclamation points. Let's see. And from Ruth, thank you. And then Chen Lee, happy birthday, Joyce C, and congrats, Ayleen. And from Ruth, heck yeah, I think that had to do with the motorhome. And the last one is Sky, I love you, Mama Boon. Best wishes to Dr. Ayleen and her new adventure.
Wow.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ed, for bringing that energy in
Yeah,
so that we
yeah.
can weave it together.
That is
great.
wonderful. Thank you also very much. And a belated happy birthday to Ed.
Happy birthday.
And good beats. Come on.
Come on up,
Most people don't even get to see you.
Oh my God.
Now, we've got all sorts of different kinds. Woo-hoo.
Let's see. Oh, geez.
You just
This is bling color.
bling, bling.
Yes.
Well, you're taking them all with you. I love it. You can do that, you know. You could have anything there.
It looks like untangling jewelry.
Oh, wow.
I'll have you know, at home, the last time I got beads, they were red.
Uh-huh.
And they are on the picture frame
Whoa,
of
good.
a picture of Jesus. I figured it was time for him to celebrate.
Okay.
Well, the silver one is for me
Yes,
at some point, but
yes.
it's
But
an
see,
entangled life we live.
It's got another silver one trying to join it.
I'll take them both. A Gemini.
Yeah,
I'll get this after, otherwise we're going to be here.
okay, well, I'll do it for you.
All right.
Yay!
Very long.
Yay! Happy birthday.
Okay.
I think it's a wrap.
I think it's a wrap.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.